guys, so I'm just wanted to say that I'm filming the Switch to Birth, Pretty Little Liars, and Twister review on the same night, so that's why I have on my same shirt. Anyways, oops, my notes are on the wrong side. Let's get started with Pretty Little Liars. Oh my gosh. So first of all, I want to say that it's like really creepy. Well, I think that it's really creepy that that Emily is staying in Allison's room. I mean, Hannah was really persistent on Emily staying there, but I just thought that was super creepy because, like, you don't know what's in there, and, you know, it's just weird sleeping in a dead person's room, you know? Also, I felt really bad for Ezra because, you know, when they show Spencer trying to help him open his drawer or whatever, you know, you can tell that he's really stressed out, and I was just like, it's probably the whole Malcolm thing, you know, trying to get custody or, you know, whatever he was trying to do. And just like, I feel really bad for him, and hopefully, you know, that'll be over soon. And, I thought it was a really weird picture that Ren showed Mona when, you know, he was talking to her and Radley, and I was like, that's a really weird family photo. I don't know if it was just me, but like the person that was throwing the baby up in the air, I don't know if my mind's weird or something, but I just thought, are they trying to throw the baby up to their death? I mean, it didn't look like, oh, let's throw the baby up in the air, haha, now I'll catch you. It looked like, oh, let's throw the baby up in the air, and oops, splat. That sounded gross and weird, but yeah, that picture was a little freaky to me. And, you know, then Ren and Mona start talking, and Mona's like, you know, I know your secrets, you know, we've talked about things before and everything, and I'm like, so Ren knows secrets. Like, he knows about Mona's secrets, and I'm just like, when did him and Mona become friends? Like, I thought he was just her psychiatrist, and I'm just like, okay. Yeah, so that's when Ren first started to get suspicious to me. I'll go into that later though. And I thought it was really weird, you know, how Allie's mom, she kind of has Allie's stuff still in there. Like Spencer said, it's kind of still like a shrine. And, you know, Emily's trying to move in there, and, you know, Mrs. De Laurentiis goes in the closet because Emily says, oh, I'll need some hangers. And, you know, Allie's clothes are still in there and everything, and I'm just thinking, if you weren't ready to get rid of Allison, then why did you ask Emily to move in there? I mean, you knew that you'd have to move things around in order for Emily to be able to stay there, so I don't understand why you wanted her to move in there. And if anything, you should have had her move into another room, because I'm pretty sure they have a few extra rooms, maybe one or two. I'm sure she wouldn't want to stay in Jason's room, but I'm pretty sure they would have had an extra, like, guest room that could have been Emily's room, which probably would have been a lot more comfortable. But I guess she was thinking since they were friends she could stay in there. But either way, I thought it was weird because you can clearly tell that Allie's mom is not ready to let go of her. And you know, when Caleb had their little fight about, you know, Hannah wanted to go and talk to Mona, you know, Caleb makes some really good points about Mona and how, like, she can play the crazy part, you know, she can play the friend while also being the enemy and everything. And so that kind of got me wondering, because honestly, I think that Mona, like, from the bottom of her heart, I think she's really confessing just to help Hannah. I mean, there could be an ulterior motive there, but I honestly think that part of her reasoning was to help Hannah, because I know she truly cares about her. So, I don't know, I guess I'm a little confused, because I don't know whether to think of Mona as an enemy or a friend as much anymore. And you know, then Ren and Mona are like talking and stuff, and I don't know, something about Cece comes up, you know, Cece Drake comes up, and I'm just thinking, so there's a possibility she could have been there, because, you know, when Ren and Hannah are talking, Ren was like, oh yeah, there was a blonde girl, but I assumed it was you, and it wasn't Hannah. And, you know, everyone thinks Allie is dead, so who else could it be but Cece? So I'm just like, okay, that's kind of creepy. I mean, this whole town is creepy, but Cece is just making this a lot more creepier than it has to be, and I don't know, she scares me. She really does. Or allegedly she does, because you don't really know if it's Cece, but I think it is. So whatever. And, you know, after Hannah leaves, after, you know, she's finished talking to Rin, Rin actually goes to call somebody. And I'm just like, who is he calling? I'm like, what? Like, I'm really confused, and I know there's like a bunch of theories out there about how Rin was on the A team, and, you know, he's working with Mona and everybody, and I honestly did not believe in that theory. I thought Rin was one of the normal guys, like Ezra, which I know there's a theory about Ezra too, but honestly, I thought Rin was just some normal guy that, you know, they picked up off the street, and obviously he's not, because he makes the call, and it's either to A, which I don't think is the A team, because Mona's the A team, and Mona's not allowed to take calls. So I'm pretty sure he's part of the Redcoat team, which I'm pretty sure there's two different teams, but whatever. He's part of the A/Redcoat team, and I'm just really shocked by this. And I mean, people have been saying this theory since Ren got introduced, basically, and I've not believed it until this episode, and I'm just really scared of what he's gonna do. And he's basically a tattletale, so I'm just curious to see what else everybody tells him and what else he makes happen. And then, you know, Ezra is in his apartment, and he tells Maggie to open the envelope. And it turns out that Ezra isn't even really Malcolm's dad. And I'm just like, what? I mean, that confused me so much. I was just like, how is Ezra not Malcolm's dad? Like, I was so confused, and it just couldn't really register right, I guess. And I was just like, why would Maggie do something like this, you know? But, I'll talk about that later, since I'm doing my scene-by-scene thing. And I thought it was really sweet how Caleb was trying to protect Hannah. You know, Hannah catches him going into Mrs. Hastings' office, law office, and, you know, she sees him, and they have this, like, little confrontation, and Caleb's like, yes, I was gonna go tell Mrs. Hastings about A and everything. And, I get where Caleb's coming from, you know, because he feels like he can't help Hannah anymore, because A and Redcoat are getting more serious with their pranks, if that's what you want to call them, their schemes. You know, they're starting to put people in jail, they're starting to kill people. You know, first it was just text and, like, spilling little secrets here and there, but it's getting more and more serious, and, you know, Caleb's just really overwhelmed with it, and he really wants to help Hannah. And I think that's really sweet, but I honestly don't think that telling the police is the best thing, because somehow, for some reason, Redcoat and A are, like, the most powerful people. You know, they're even past the police, because they're able to cover up their prints from killing Wilden. So yeah, I didn't think that was a good idea in the first place. And I thought it was so creepy. You know, Ren is in his car, and he's just watching Caleb make out, and I'm just like, okay, like, did you really need to watch them? I mean, of course, you know, he's just spying on Hannah, but I just thought that was really creepy. And it just makes me so sad to find out that Ezra isn't really Malcolm's father. And, you know, Ezra's whole speech and everything is like, you know, I bonded with Malcolm, and I know everything about him. I know his favorite stuffed animal. I know all his stuffed animals' names, and I know which one he can't live without. And, you know, I know every specific detail about Malcolm and every little thing he likes and doesn't like. And it's just really intense, and I feel really bad. And, you know, Maggie explains that it was just a drunken night, and she didn't know. And she was just really hoping it was Ezra's baby, you know? But it wasn't. And I don't understand. I mean, I know that you don't want to believe that you don't know the father of your baby, but it's not okay to blame it on somebody else. Like, no, it wasn't Ezra's, and maybe you wish it would. I mean, you know, she wishes it was, but it's not. And it's not fair to put somebody in that position if they're not... I don't know how to say it, but, you know, it's not fair to put Ezra in that position when he's not meant to be in that position. And, I think I kind of understand why she did it a little bit, because, you know, Ezra's family does have money, so maybe she did it for the money. Maybe not. I mean, because she couldn't really predict that Ezra's mom was going to pay her off, but she's probably glad she did. But, yeah, I just don't understand why Maggie went along with the lie. Like, you could have at least told Ezra, this is not your kid, just don't tell your mom, because, you know, I just really needed the money to get ourselves together, you know? And I don't know, I thought it was a little surprising when Emily and Mrs. De Laurentiis, they were talking, and Emily's like, I'm going through the same thing with, you know, my partner. And I thought it was a little surprising that Mrs. De Laurentiis didn't know that Emily was gay. I mean, I thought everybody kind of knew, but, you know, she's kind of out of the loop, so of course she wouldn't know. But, yeah. And, you know, Arya goes and checks out Cece's, where she's supposed to be living. And, you know, the girl who's moving out of the apartment, she's like, yeah, Cece hates all 4 of you she-devils, I think she called them. You know, because she thinks that, you know, Arya, Hannah, Emily, and Spencer were all in on something that Allie did. Allie obviously pranked her, and, you know, it hurt her feelings and everything, and she thinks that the 4 of them were in on it. So, you know, she kind of assumed they were in on it since they were Allie's friends, and that's possibly the reason, or at least one of the reasons why she's after them now. And, I just thought that was so stupid. I mean, I understand, but at the same time, like, you can't just assume it was them. I mean, you can and you can't, because Allie's a very persuasive person, and, you know, whoever is with Allie could potentially be just as dangerous as her. But, they weren't at the time, and I just feel really bad for Cece now, because, you know, she's probably just doing this because she's really hurt, but at the same time, Allie is at the root of all your problems, and she's dead now. Or at least supposedly dead, unless she knows she's alive, then she has a good reason. But otherwise, Allie is dead now, so she has no reason to be harassing these girls at all. And I thought it was just really creepy how Redcoat was at, you know, she was in the house with Hannah at the time, that Hannah was in the house, and I'm just like, I don't know, that's just really creepy. You know, 18 and Redcoat, they basically creep me out a lot, so. And now Ren does too, because he's a total creeper. And I thought it was so sad how Ezra got Arya's voicemail, because, you know, Ezra really needed someone to talk to. And I understand why Arya didn't respond, because they're supposed to be broken up, and they're not supposed to have any contact at all. And Ezra keeps coming back to her, and, you know, they're supposed to be moving on with their lives. But at the same time, Ezra really did need somebody. Arya doesn't know that, but, you know, I just felt really bad, because honestly, Ezra probably needs to get some real friends, because honestly, all he talks to is mainly Arya, whenever she wants to talk to him, and the 4 other girls, you know, when he's trying to help with their problems. So yeah, now that I think about it, Ezra should really get some real friends. And I just thought Spencer is so smart. I just thought it was really smart of Spencer to, like, start actually playing the song that A sent Toby. And, you know, she starts playing the song on the piano, and that gets Dr. Palmer into the mindset, oh, Marion Kavanaugh is here, which is Toby's mom. She's here, so, you know, you know, he's kind of, I guess, dementia. He forgets where he is. So, you know, he thinks that he's with the patient right now. And I thought that was just really smart of her, because he got, you know, that got him talking about everything. But I really wish they could have stayed longer, but, you know, then the doctor grabs him and it's like, oh, session's over. I'll see you again. And it turns out that he, you know, in the end, before he's wheeled away, he's like, oh, and I want Mrs. De Laurentiis in my office, please. And I'm just like, what? I'm like, what does she have to do with this? And, you know, and I was like, well, does he mean Mrs. De Laurentiis, like the adult one, or does he mean Allie? And, you know, so that's another question. I mean, you kind of narrow it down, but it just causes more of a problem. And, yeah, and just like, oh my gosh. And so hopefully they get to do that again, because I think that's a really good idea, and it kind of tricks his mind into thinking, oh, I'm with my patient, so we can talk freely. So, yeah. And then I thought, you know, Hannah was like, well, why don't we just ask Mrs. De Laurentiis about why she was at Radley? And I'm like, Hannah, really? Like, I don't know why, but I don't know, they just, like, all 4 of them, they were like, oh yeah, we should totally just directly ask somebody, because they're totally gonna tell us the truth, right? No. I mean, I just don't get it. Like, they know the town's really shady, so why would you think anybody would outright tell you the truth? I don't know. But Hannah thought it was a good idea to just ask her out straight, which they did. And I thought that was a bad idea. And you know, Mrs. Hastings has to be pulled out of the case with Hannah's mom because an anonymous source, which I'm pretty sure was Ren, you know, which he kind of confirms it, I guess, tells the, I guess, the law firm that she was supposedly bullying Mona into confessing. So then she has to step down because it'll cause more problems and blah blah blah. And I'm just really hating Ren right now because he is such a snake, and I really want to believe he was just a normal guy, you know, but he's actually a creeper who's on the A-team, and like my mind just is blown from that because I really thought he could be somewhat trusted, but he can't be because he's a snake. I feel really bad for Hannah because, you know, now that Mrs. Hastings, you know, is dropping out, you know, Mrs. Hastings was a nice lawyer for her because, you know, she's a friend and, you know, they can get intel and everything. But now her mom doesn't have a representative, and that just really sucks. So she could possibly go back to jail since nobody's representing her anymore. And yeah, it's just really crazy for Hannah, and she's back into trouble again, which sucks. I really like the whole Jake and Arya scene. I like to call them Jaria. I just think that's a really cute name. I really like that whole scene with them, and they're just really cute together, and I kind of feel bad because, you know, Arya's trying to move on, and I'm glad she is moving on somewhat successfully, but I just wish that Ezra didn't need her so much. This makes me sound like I'm not on the Ezra side, because I'm for sure on the Ezra side. I really want to be, but right now I'm really liking her and Jake, so hopefully Ezra can deal with his problems by himself. Or he can talk to his brother about it. I mean, his brother seems okay, unless he wants to be part of the Redcoat team too, you know? Because everybody's just a part of the Redcoat and A-team. I mean, everybody's just suspicious now to me because I don't believe anybody. I'm sorry. This episode is just really confusing. And, you know, then Mrs. De Laurentiis, she had a mechanic, I guess, come to fix her AC and or her heater or whatever, and he's like, but I think you have a hidden problem, a bigger problem. And I'm thinking, is he talking about the hidden room? Because, you know, in the end of last week's episode, you see Redcoat go inside this room, which is inside the De Laurentiis house. Yeah, and then you see Ren talking on the phone, and he's coloring in the family picture, but what confuses me is the fact that he's coloring it in, and it's a Redcoat, but Redcoat has brown hair, and I'm just like, that looks a lot more like Spencer than Cece to me, and I'm just like, what does that mean? That confuses me, so if anybody can tell me what that means, gladly leave that in the comments below. But yeah, and just gonna say this again, I hate Ren. I can't express that enough because I was really on his side, and I just feel betrayed. And I thought it was so creepy of Mrs. De Laurentiis to just leave Emily alone in that, you know, her basement, because basement is just really creepy, and I just hate thinking about it right now because it's nighttime, and I hate watching Pretty Little Liars at night because honestly it creeps me out, but I have to, and it's a really good show, and I can't stop watching it. And I just thought it was so creepy because, you know, Emily, she looks up and she actually sees the drill holes in the roof of the basement, I guess, and I guess that means that, you know, Redcoat is watching them, and I'm like, that is just so creepy. You probably need to get a rug or something, you know, put that over the holes, because, yeah, don't want Redcoat creeping on ya. And I thought it was a shock that, you know, A has Ashley's suede shoes that were covered in mud. And I'm just like, what is A doing with those shoes? I mean, I don't have a good memory, so I don't really remember what they said happened to the shoes, but I'm pretty sure they said that Ashley threw them out. So, yeah, and I'm just like, great. A has the shoes, and A basically dumped them at the crime scene. And not crime scene, well, Emily's house, and I'm just like, great. She's totally setting them up. I mean, I just don't understand. I mean, A and Red Coat are playing all these games when they have the ability to just put everyone in jail. And I'd much rather them do that than just torture everybody. So yeah. Thanks for watching. Toodles!